Hi, this is Margo. This is Wednesday evening, July 17th, 2019, 7:44 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we're going to do a short earthquake report. I recorded a show with Robin this afternoon, Robin Westenra, and we did looked at sea ice in the Arctic. It was a very thorough show. It was very good. It's uploaded to my YouTube channel, so make sure and check that out as soon as possible. It's our first look at the Arctic together. We had a good discussion, so thank you, Robin, for that. We're going to be doing some more shows as the summer progresses, as we track the sea ice. And my voice is not going to hold up for me to do comments tonight, so we're going to have to pass on that. But thank you for people leaving positive, helpful comments and nice comments and supporting each other here. And I encourage people to leave comments of, where you're located, what's going on in your part of the world with the climate or temperature or things like that, so that we can have first-hand accounts of what's going on. I'm drinking some lemon water to try and get through this show. It just seems like once I hit 7 o'clock, my throat is gone. So, but Robin and I got a real good show. We had so many problems with TalkShoe. I don't know if I'm going to use TalkShoe anymore. We had so many problems, you wouldn't believe it. But we got it done, got it up. So, we've got USGS here. For the last 24 hours, we're looking at 950 earthquakes worldwide of all magnitude. Of those, we're seeing 68 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. Now, briefly, I've been taking a screenshot every day of the California, I call it the event area in Southern California, where they had the a 6.4 and then a 7.1 the day after, July 4th and July 5th, and now there's a rift opening up, and it's a whole thing. So I've been taking screenshots of this every day, this area. Here's my screenshot from this morning. I took this at, 9:18 this morning, and at 9:18 there were 878 earthquakes worldwide, and 678 of those were in the event area. So if we look now, there are 948 worldwide as opposed to 878. So that's gone up 70. No, wait, that's gone up. Oh, it's gone up 878. I'm having a brain fart. It's gone up over. I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, it's gone up 70 worldwide in the number, and they're showing 734 here in the event area. And so that's up 60, looks like about 60. Well, I just can't even think. I'm having a brain fart, so I'm just going to use the calculator. 734 minus 678 It's gone up 56 in the event area. And worldwide, 948 minus 878, it's gone up 70 since this morning worldwide. So, you know, we might have had the lowest we're going to have. It might have been a lull. It could be picking back up. We're seeing a lot of activity. When we look at, this is all magnitudes here, but let's go to 2.5 magnitude or higher. And we can see a lot of these earthquakes all around the world and all on these red lines everywhere. And the biggest one, or the one that's a high note in my mind, is this 5.4 off the coast of Bandon, Oregon, that came in at 7:59 this morning. This is right on the western edge of the Juan de Fuca plate. So there was another one there too. So we're going to be looking at that definitely. See what's about to come off the map. Here's a 2.7 Puerto Rico from last night at 7:53. Then these are in the event area. And then here's a Mexico. So let's start. Let's start right down here in the Caribbean. We're showing 9 here today of all magnitudes. 2.7, 2.8, 3.3, 2.1, 2.3, 2.6, 2.0, 1.6, and 2.3. So the highest was this 3.3. So that's not enough to do damage down there, but it's showing movement definitely. So let's come on over to the Central America region and Mexico. We're going to start here. Here's one that was very near Mexico City, 2.9 near Miguel Hidalgo, Mexico, that came in at 8:59 last night, 3 kilometers deep. So that's showing movement. It's not enough to cause damage, but you know, Mexico has seen some very large damaging earthquakes in the past. Here's a 4.9 off the coast near San Mateo del Mar, Mexico, at 11:25 last night. All these times I'm giving you are Pacific time, because that's my time zone. Here's one on the red line of 4.8 northern East Pacific rise at 3:16 this afternoon. Here's a 4.4 off the coast of Central America at 2:44 this morning. Then we've had 3 off the coast of Ecuador, very near the Galapagos Islands, and these are volcanic islands. So we've had 3 just to the north of these islands. Here's a 4.5. They're calling it near Puerto Ayora, Ecuador. That's the reporting station. So the first one happened at 5:37 this afternoon. Then a 4.5 at 5:51 this afternoon. And then a 5.4 at 6:17 this afternoon. So, and we saw one here last night too. So, oh, by the way, for new viewers who are not used to me or my channel, I do review all the comments before to see if they're going to be approved or not before I publish them. And if there are any derogatory comments of any nature, they will not be approved. Or if they're stupid, if they're just stupid, or if they have nothing to do with what we're talking about, or they're critical, just being mean, just being harassing and mean, they will not be approved, and you will be blocked, because I don't have the time and the energy to put up with any nonsense. And I keep putting videos on YouTube simply because that's the crowd is where the crowd is. You know, I'm tired of being trolled, and I'm tired of being harassed, and I know that the trolls are just going to be coming out in more force as we get more and more into the melt season. And you know, this is the one of the reasons I created the platform over on Subscribestar. And you know, I could move everything over to Subscribestar and just put videos up on Vimeo and make it to where, you know, you have to go over there and become a member for, you know, for private viewing. I could do that. So, you know, the trolls are out there, and I know who you are. So that's that. Just ready for everything to be over. Alright, you know, when I'm so tired and my health is not good, and I'm doing caregiving for my best friend who's elderly, and he has some medical procedures coming up, and you know, my allergies are bad, and you know, I do shows all the time, and for anyone to come in and be critical of me, or just be mean or nasty, you know, you're going to get one chance to do that, and that's it. That's it. And your comment will not be approved, and you will be blocked. And that's all there is to it. Alright, so we've got a 4.9 near Pangai, Tonga at 10:10 last night, 5.2 in the Fiji region at 11:10 last night, and a 4.9 near Hihifo, Tonga at 3:09 this morning. Here's a 5.1 near Lata, Solomon Islands at 9:35 last night. Let's see. That's in the ocean, so that didn't cause any damage. Here, 4.9 near Rabaul, Papua New Guinea at 10:58 last night. Here's a 5.1 near Laiwui, Indonesia at 7:57 this morning. Here's a 4.7 near Palui, Indonesia at 3:59 this afternoon. This is very deep, 555 kilometers deep. And then here's another 4.5 off the coast of Australia. We had some here in the last few days. This is near Broome, Australia. This came in at 3:20 this morning. Next, here's a 4.9 in the Andaman Basin The reporting station is Port Blair, India, but it's in the ocean there. This came in at 9:55 this morning. Next is looks like this is on the coastline. Yeah. Of Japan. A 4.8 came in at Ofunato, Japan at 2 o'clock this morning. Let's see if we can get a little closer. Just right on the coastline, it looks like. There's Ofunato. 4.8. Now they're pretty hardened in Japan because they've had so many earthquakes, so that probably didn't do any damage. Next, a 4.2 near Shadigan, Iran at 3:45 this afternoon, and a 4.5 near Sarpal-e Zahab, Iran at 8:19 this morning. Okay, so those are the international earthquakes. Now let's go to Hawaii. We've got 10 here tonight. 2.2 at Waimea, 1.9 Kilauea, 1.8 Kilauea, 2.7 Pahala, 2.3 Pahala, 1.8 Kilauea, 1.9 Pahala, 1.9 Pahala, 1.7 Mauna Loa, and a 1.8 Pahala. So that's an uptick in the number, and the largest was this 2.9, so that's getting up there. So that's definitely still showing movement. And here in Alaska, we're seeing 56. That's 56 of all magnitudes. Of those, 8 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. So we're going to start with those. 4.2 Nikolsky, that's in the Aleutian Islands. Here's our 4.0 near Kodiak in the Gulf of Alaska. 2.8 Manly Hot Springs. 3.0 Arctic Village. And we've got 4 at Kobuk, a 3.0, 2.7, 3.0, and 2.9. So that's an increase in the magnitudes there. So now with all magnitudes, Cook Inlet is looking pretty clear. These are near Redoubt. We've got several here. 2.0, 2.0, 1.4. Well, it's saying Nikiski, but I think Redoubt is right in there too. Redoubt Volcano. So 2.4 Homer. And see, they're coming in on the map. Here's a 2.2 Valdez. So here's the Anchorage region. Here's a 2.3. A lot of 2s. 2.0 and so on. So they're coming on up through the state. Here at Kobuk we have 14 total here today. So the rest of those are in the ones range, in twos, low twos in ones range. So there's that. And at Koktovik, here's a 1.3 Arctic village. So there's that. Now let's come on down into the lower 48. We're seeing 852 here today. 852 minus so how many do we have in the event area right now? 731. Okay, 852 minus 731. So we got 121 not in the event area. So we've got a whole bunch on the eastern side here. So we're going to start over here in South Carolina, in the center of the state, right next to Columbia. There was a 2.2 near Irmo at 1:07 this morning, 5 kilometers deep. Here's a 3.0 near New Tazewell, Tennessee at 8:23 this morning. There were 2 right here in the New Madrid hazard zone, a 2.4 and a 2.5 at Tiptonville. Then coming on over in Oklahoma, we're seeing 3 here today, 2.3 Quinton and 2.3 at Cherokee and a 1.8 at Chickasha. Then here's one up here in Kansas, 2.7 near Mankato. Coming on over, we've got a 2.7 in near Fredonia, Arizona. Let's look at that. That looks like it's in the Grand Canyon to me. I could be wrong. No, Grand Canyon is over here, but it's just north, right here, north of the Grand Canyon. This came in at 2:13 this morning. Then in Utah, here's a 1.1 at Enoch, a 0.9 at Milford. And Yellowstone is eerily quiet today, which is not a good sign. Whenever you don't see anything at Yellowstone, you tend to start worrying because it's showing that it's building, that the pressure is building there. So that is not a good sign. Now here in the Pacific Northwest, let's zoom out so you can get a better view. I see the fault line is not coming on down there, but we know what this Juan de Fuca plate looks like. Oops. You know, why they're doing this is beyond me. They can put those fault lines in. They just don't want us to see it. Anyway, this is on this Juan de Fuca plate, right on the western edge. There were 2 right next to each other. See, here's the fault line here. So when I zoom in, it shows up. There was a 2.7 that came in at right after midnight, 12:08 this morning, and a 5.4 that came in at 7:59 this morning. So that's a big deal. 5.4 is a huge deal for this area. So, and I've been seeing sulfur dioxide come up out of the Pacific Ocean at surface level, all up and down the coast and in the Aleutian Islands, and that's a sign of sulfur dioxide coming up. Well, I mean, obviously it's a sign of plate movement and also magma. Here's Vancouver Island. So before we look at these, I'm going to show you the tremor map. From yesterday, they're showing nothing, which I think is highly suspicious. Let's see if they're showing anything today. Well, they're showing today so far 21 tremors, and they're centered down here in Oregon. Where's that? Just north of Roseburg, south of Eugene, and just north of Roseburg. Let's go back a couple of days. So here it was on the 15th, and remember we saw all those clusters up here on Vancouver Island. We saw them down on the south end, and in the kind of the middle up at the north, and then up towards the northern end, and they were coming out in the ocean. So here we have an earthquake right here where that cluster was. There was a 1.3. They're calling it Langford, Canada. So including the Juan de Fuca plate earthquakes, we've got 12 here today. We've also got a 3.0 at Cathcart. This is near Seattle. We've got a 0.7 at Intiot, a 1.5 at Desert Air. That's where the Hanford nuclear waste facility is. Here's a 0.7 to the west of Mount Rainier at Eatonville. That's a volcano. 1.4 near Morton. We have 3 at Amboy, which is Mount St. Helens, just on the edge of the crater here. We've got 3 here today. A 0.8 and a minus 0.4 and a minus 0.3. So that's still showing movement. And what else do we have? And then down here in Portland, in Oregon, we've got a 1.6 at Mill City. So now the swarm we saw was down here. So that's what's going on in the Pacific Northwest. Now down here in California, in Northern California, we've got a 1.5 at Rio Del, and this is Petrolia here, and this is where the San Andreas fault line comes up and meets this Juan de Fuca plate. This is the Cascadia subduction zone, and so this is a fulcrum point that gets a lot of pressure and a lot of earthquakes here. Here's a 1.6 at Covelo. This came in at 7:09 this morning. Notice the negative depth, a minus 1.1 kilometer depth. That means the epicenter of the earthquake was up in the mountain. And then to the east of Redding, we've got a 0.8 near Shingletown, and then we've got 3 right here near Lassen, in the Lassen volcano area. So we've got a 2.3, that's getting up there at Mineral. That came in at 1:47 this afternoon. A 0.6 and a 0.9 at Viola. And this is not very far from Lake Elminor. Then, coming on over into the Reno area, we've got a 0 magnitude at Portola, at 0 depth too. Look at that. So right at the surface, a 0 magnitude right at the surface. Reno's clear, northern Nevada is clear. We've got a couple down here at Hawthorne, a 1.0 and a 0.0. We've got a 1.1 at Alamo and a 0.7 at Beatty. So it's eerily quiet in southern Nevada. Normally we see more. So that's kind of a red flag in my book. Now let's zoom on into Mammoth Lakes now. We've got 11 here today. We've got a 2.0, that's Tom's Place, that came in at 1:22 this morning. So that's the highest. The next highest is a 1.5. And the rest of them are under that. Okay. Here's a straggler, 1.4 at Big Pine. Now let's come down the San Andreas fault line. Okay, I think I already, did I show that one? Yeah, Covelo. At the geysers, we have 25 here today. So that's a more average number. Here's a 1.4. Most of these are under 1. 1.7, that's the highest. So there's that. Coming on down, we've got a 1.1 at Orinda. This came in at 8:34 last night. Here's a 1.6 San Juan Bautista. Okay, what have we got at the Pinnacles? We've got 3. We've got a 2.3, a 1.0, and a 1.8. So that 2.3 is getting up there. And then right down here we've got 0.6, 1.5 at Parkfield, and a 0.6, and a 1.1 San Ardo. It's like right next, there's so 3 clustered up right there. Here's our San Andreas fault line. Now it's come back. See, and then it goes away for a little bit, and now it comes back. And you know, I don't know what they're trying to do, except discourage people from looking at all of this, which is obvious. 1.2 Granada Hills, 1.0 Pear Blossom, here's one in Baja, 2.4 near Puebla. Here's a 1.0 Quarry Blast at Chula Vista. Now we haven't seen, that's the first quarry blast we've seen today. Maybe they got an order to not do quarry blasting while everything is so precarious. Maybe. I don't know. We've got 40 in Southern California that are not part of the event area. Let's see if any of those are 2.5 or higher. No, they're not. So they're just peppered around and coming up. So let's see what magnitude these are. There's that 2.4 in Pueblo. Here's a 2.0 Westmoreland. That's the highest one. The rest are like mid ones and under. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on all of those. But we are seeing movement here at Glen Avon again. And it's recent that they're coming in right now. We're seeing 13 in this area today. So that's kind of picking back up. Look, here's a 1.8. That's getting up there. That's at Glen Avon at 2:26 this morning. Now let's take a peek at this event area. So here we are. Yep, 7:31. So I've zoomed out a little bit here so we can get a better view of this pattern. And here it is in 2.5 magnitude. So there are 29 here, 2.5 magnitude or higher. So let's see what some of the larger ones are. 3.0 at Johannesburg. 3.4 Little Lake. Let's see what else we have. 3.3. Here's a 3.9 at Coso Junction. We got a lot of threes. Got a lot of threes. Here's a 3.5 Coso Junction and so forth. So over 700 earthquakes are smaller than 2.5 magnitude. And so we're still seeing the trend from southeast to northwest, from Ridgecrest and Searles Valley up here to Coso Junction and Olancha. We're still seeing the spread out toward Trona, and it's actually spreading out further into these mountains now. And we've got a spread, we've still got this line going over to Johannesburg in California City. So that's kind of what's happening. It's not stopping. It's still going. And this is day 13 since all this started down here. So I can only think that with all those earthquakes, it's shaking everything and making the ground split open even more. I can only think that. So let's see if anything else came in while we were looking at that. We got that 4.0 in Kodiak. We got that 5.4 at Ecuador. I think that's a wrap. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up so I can rest my voice. So time is short. It's getting shorter. And we're having dire situations come upon us now. And so I really do recommend you get your spiritual house in order, because no one knows, when's going to be their last day. We can see the evidence. And in the Bible, Jesus said that, because his disciples were asking him what would be signs of his return. And one of the signs is earthquakes in diverse places. And that's the reason I added earthquake reporting to my abrupt climate change reporting. And earthquakes are very, very important, and they go hand in hand with climate change and the environment. And how can you not include earthquakes? Seriously, how can you not? How can you just want to look at methane or want to look at sea ice and not include earthquakes? It's all part of the entity of Mother Earth. It's part of the whole together. They all work together, and when one gets out of balance, they all get out of balance. Oh, and by the way, when you have melting sea ice, you're going to have more earthquakes. It's called isostatic rebound, where the weight on the plates shift and move when the ice melts. And when plate goes up, plate goes down, and it causes movement. And you will have earthquakes. So it's very much related to climate change. So, you just need to get educated on all of this. So until next time, God bless you, go in peace, and I'll talk to you soon. Good night.